examples of what's happening locally. I think there is a danger if that's all we talk about it, we can always suffer from a kind of austerity fatigue. You know, I think a lot of people are so overwhelmed by what's happening, what we're seeing on the TV, and it can almost paralyse people, and they don't really feel like they can actually do anything. So I think, we need to raise what we can do, and I think what John said about what this Tory government is doing is absolutely correct. That they're carrying out a scorched earth policy. They're doing what even Thatcher didn't do. In the space they know they're not going to get elected the next time round. I think it's highly likely that Labour or maybe a Lib Lab coalition will win the next general election. Of course, the fundamental policies of cuts is not going to change. It's just going to, maybe slow down a little bit or whatever. But the Labour Party leadership is still fundamentally wedded to austerity. John says there's 3 ways we can, fight the cuts: voting, strike action, and direct action. I disagree. I think there's the 4th option, which is, we have Labour councils already in power, which we've already talked about. I find it quite shocking, actually, that Claudia basically says, working class, I would vote against cuts, but working class people aren't ready for it. I find that quite...
I have voted against cuts. I've kept my hands clean, but I am powerless. I'm complete nobody on the back benches. And so I'm never more than a mile over to the police.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you're not powerless. Like, you could be building a grassroots movement, a bit like what the Coonahan... Well, this is what the Coonahan campaign and kind of similar anti-cuts organisations are doing. And I think, this kind of direct action is great because it's getting people involved, but ultimately we need political representation. We've seen how the Occupy movement, whether in the UK where it was on the steps of St Paul's Cathedral, or in the States where it was all around London Stock Exchange, you've got loads of people out on the streets, loads of people wanted change, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. But because they have no political representation, they have no clear political demands, it just dissipated. There's a bit of a joke going around on Facebook at the moment that Hurricane Sandy has done more than the Occupy movement in the sense that it's closed down the stock exchange for several days. It's a bit of a cruel joke, I know, but and I find it quite telling that John McDonnell, a Labour MP, is basically deriding the idea of a Labour government actually doing anything. It's like, well, John, I know you're clearly a principled socialist, and arguably, a million times better than some like, I don't know, George Galloway or someone. Rather than standing for a party that is fundamentally wedded to austerity, if you were to take the steps to break from the Labour Party and start a new movement, a new working class movement, like tens of thousands of people would flock to you and a fighting organisation. I think what the young person there, sorry, I can't remember your name. Io was saying, is quite indicative of what young people feel. I'm 27. I grew up mostly under New Labour. The introduction of tuition fees, the war in Iraq, all Labour policy, PFI, effective privatisation of the NHS. We don't see the Labour Party as representative of young people, working class people. And you say what the alternative is. Well, we need to form that left alternative to Labour, and it's not going to be a straight route. It's not going to be an easy route. But if we look to the rest of Europe, for example, in Greece, Syriza, which is a coalition of the left, it's not just one party; it's multiple parties. That has gone from, in the space of 5 years, of getting on average 4% of the vote, to now 27%. It's now the second biggest party in the Greek Parliament. And unfortunately, people saying, well, we need to reclaim Labour, those would be the people in Greece saying, oh, we need to reclaim PASOK, the former Social Democratic Party, which is basically wedded to the same austerity agenda as New Democracy. Syriza has literally, it's gone from a few percent to a mass organisation.
I see.
And I think that's what we need here, really. Socialist Party are part of TUSC, which is the Trade Union Socialist Coalition. We're an electoral organisation. We stand candidates in the elections on an anti-cuts basis, and we support anyone who takes those steps. I don't know what figures Jerry's talking about, because on average we've got 6% of the vote in the latest round of elections in May, which again is still fairly modest, but compared to how the Labour Party started out, that's kind of the similar number of votes. And I would say, we need unity of the left, and I'm quite happy to work with Labour Party members and individuals. But I think we need to be clear that we need unity on an anti-cuts basis, and I will not be giving any support to anybody who carries out cuts, or indeed provides left-wing cover for a party that enacts cuts. Okay. And I'm pretty clear on what we stand for as the Socialist Party. We've got a clear socialist programme. We demand the nationalisation of the top 150 corporations that dominate the economy, to be put under democratic workers' control, and we can create employment for all and decent living conditions for all. And for those of you who are familiar with the history of the Socialist Party, we used to be a tendency within the Labour Party. So I don't relish the idea of attacking Labour Party. I find it quite disheartening what's happened to the Labour Party. But we have to be realistic, and I think young people don't have the same nostalgia, or they don't know the history of the Labour Party. But there's nothing to indicate that it had that history.
Steve, I'm not trying to cut you off.
Sure.